We are recording Wednesday afternoon, baby bloomer flow. So the lady who sets up the schedule will know. Let's go ahead and start today child's pose. So if you would come to your mat, find your way down to the floor. It's available to you. Let's start at a wide knee pose or a bit of an extended child's pose. So knees wide, big.
Cheryl, we can't
toes
see
come.
you.
Say again. Oh, sorry. Move the camera. I disappeared. Sorry. Yes. What's that? What? Oh, don't tilt the TV screen. Tilt the iPad screen. Oh, that works ever so much better. All right. Now, baby, I was just going to sit over here and drink my ice water and pretend like I was doing the yoga. So we're coming to child's pose, wide knees, big toes to touch, and then sink the body down to the mat. Now, if the knees aren't ready for this yet, feel free to draw the knees in a little closer. Put a blanket or a block underneath your backside to soften that angle till we get the knees warm. But if the body's okay with it, let's start in a child's pose. Now, I suggest to you that you allow your heart and your head to melt to the mat. I'm going to leave my forehead lifted so I can project my voice just a little better. But I'd like you to have your head supported. Whether that's a block, the mat, your stacked fists, but release the weight of your head to allow a little more length in the upper part of the spine, the top of the shoulders, and the neck, and the base of the neck, right there where the neck meets the head. So if you release your head to the mat, you'll find just a little more length. Hands come down to the mat, stretch them out in front of you. And let's make this an organic, a fluid child's pose. So perhaps rock just a little bit from side to side. Lower one thigh and then the other, just warming up the hip joint, reminding it that it's a ball and socket joint and it has a huge range of motion. Most of the time we move straight forward, occasionally backwards. We have to remind our hips that we are capable of that lateral movement. This is a good way to warm up that action in the hips, just to give the hips a little wiggle waggle when you're in child's pose. If you haven't already, connect to your breath. If you're using a Ujjayi breath, seal the lips and breathe in and out through the nose, slight constriction in the back of the throat, an ocean wave, an audible breath, a little Darth Vader action. One more breath cycle in the child's pose, allow the ribs to expand and touch the thighs, and then to softly draw back in on the exhale. And next inhale, as you're ready, walk your way up to a tabletop position. Reset hands and knees if you'd like. Wiggle out the shoulders and the hips, and then come into a stationary tabletop. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hip. Tuck the chin just a little bit. Again, lengthen the back of the neck. Then lift the heart up and away from the mat so that you can press down through the base of the fingers, the base of the thumbs, and find a firm, sturdy tabletop here. Then moving with your breath, we'll move through some cat-cows. I recommend you start with the hips. I like to start in cat for whatever reason. But move the hips first, then the back, the belly, the heart, and the head. Inhaling into cow, again, we start at the hips and let the motion roll up the spine to the crown of the head. Starting from the hips, both directions, take your time. Move as quickly or as exquisitely slowly as you would like to today. Perhaps you number those 24 movable vertebrae and feel each one of them as they articulate. And then as always, feel free to add any sahaj or any freeform movements. Rock out the hips, roll out the shoulders, Whatever feels good as we wake up the posterior chain. And then come back to a stationary tabletop position. Inhale, tuck the toes right foot, slide it long, leave it connected to the mat. And find a little surf, a little rock forward and back. Make sure you've got enough action here. The toes and ankles and shoulders and wrists are getting a little lubrication. Then when you're ready, come back to a stationary tabletop, find your balance. Inhale, right foot lifts, press it back actively, like you were gonna kick the wall behind you. If your balance feels good, sit the left arm out. Exhale, draw it in, lead the nose, let the cat down. Inhale, send it reaching low. Exhale, draw it in, lead the nose, cat back. Inhale, reach it low. Last time, draw it in on the inhale or exhale. Make it nice and tight. Inhale, reach it long. Stay lifted here. Fold the right knee, lift the right heel, swing the left arm around. Play the find the foot game. Now, if your foot's not back there, hopefully you've got a strap in. But if you can find your foot, for today's purposes, leave the shoulders as level as you can, but lift the right thigh. Kick the right foot back into the left hand, draw the left elbow in if need be, but find some tension in that quadricep muscle. We're going to work on stretching the front of the thigh several times today. So begin it here in this find the foot. Then with control, release, send both ends long. And then exhale, come back to your tabletop. Wiggle out the hips, waggle out the shoulders. And let's come back to a stationary tabletop. Find your balance. Inhale, left toes tuck and slide long. Find the same surfing action. If you find a tight spot, feel free to hang out, just pressing into that spot, breathing into that place. But if the motion feels good, keep it up. Then make your way back to a center stable tabletop. Inhale, left foot lifts, push back through the heel. Really turn on that leg, turn on that glute. If balance is good, reach forward with the right arm. You can always work arms or legs, not both. Exhale, draw it in, knee to nose, cat back, elbow to groin. Inhale, reach it low. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, reach it low. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, reach it low. Left leg bends, heel comes to the hip. Right arm swims around in place behind the foot. It's back there somewhere. It may be easier to find on one side than it is the other. It's interesting how the two sides of the body are not the same. While I babble and you're distracted, lift that leg up just a little more. Find a stretch in the front of the thigh, in the quadricep muscle. You can always bend the elbow to draw the heel in a little closer to the hip. Gentle stretch, not forcing it. Next, inhale, release. Send it long. Exhale, set it down. Come back into your tabletop position. Knees are still under hips. We're going to do a thread the needle here. Actually, we're going to do what's called a rolling panda, which means we thread the needle 3 times. So from our tabletop position, weight comes into the left hand, either under the shoulder, or you can move it under the face if that feels better in your body. Inhale, right arm reaches to the sky, find a twist at the mid-body, at the belly button. Hips stay fairly level. Exhale, right arm comes under the left as we reach the opposite wall and change our moment. Inhale, sweep the right arm to the sky again. Exhale, right arm threads underneath the left. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, thread the needle. This time, we'll drop down to the upper arm or the shoulder. A little bit of weight on the head, but don't make that the point where there's pressure. If feels like there's not room for your body, come up, walk the hands further from the knees, find a little more length in the torso, and then try it again. A lot of variations here to play with. You might come up with the fingertips of the left hand, reach that elbow for the sky, see if you can find a slightly deeper twist, and soften the right shoulder to the mat just a little more. There are a lot of variations. Feel free to take any that feels good. We're just going to stay one more breath cycle. Then left hand under the shoulder if it's not already. Inhale, right hand reaches to the sky, find the twist. And then exhale back to tabletop. Rolling panda on the other side. Inhale, left hand reaches. Rotate the shoulders parallel to the wall, perpendicular to the floor. Exhale, reach through, slide the fingers across the floor. Change your mind, don't commit. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, slide through. One more time. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, slide the left arm under the right and come down to rest. Upper arm or shoulder, even the forearm, but not a lot of weight on the head. A different variation here, the right hand can come up on the fingertips, lifting the elbow, or perhaps you lift the right hand, take it around and lay the back of the hand on the low back, putting in a half bind here. I'm going to ask you as the weeks go by to start sneaking in more and more half binds. Great way to work on twists, great way to open the shoulders. One more breath in this rolling panda. Right hand under the shoulder. Inhale, left hand reaches for the sky. And exhale, set it down. Walk the hands forward, one hand parent. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Work down to the base of the fingers, tuck the toes. Inhale, downward facing dog. And take your time to walk this dog. Keep the knees nice and soft. They can be deeply bent. As we work to get length between hips and head, base of the tailbone to the crown of the head, that's the goal of downward facing dog. Drop the knees a little bit, push the hips up and back, then straighten the knees. Try that little ratcheting action again. Drop the knees, push back to the shoulders, up through the hips, then allow the heels to drop to the floor. We'll build strength in this downward facing dog slowly but progressively. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, 1,000 baby steps. Make your way to the front of the mat for a ragdoll forward fold. Big bend in the knees. Let the tummy come all the way to the thighs. I have a sneaky ulterior motive here. I have found that this very soft squat is a sneaky way to build strength in the legs and length in the hamstrings. And it looks like all you're doing is squatting. But taking the time to allow those muscles to both engage and relax pays off. So in this ragdoll, hands are limp, head and shoulders are limp. Find a little sway. Find a big old juicy twist, if that would feel good. Beginning to open up the side bodies, getting the hips and the shoulders lubricated and moving. And then come back to a stationary forward fold. Excitement and fountain today. Inhale, halfway lift. And a flat back here. Draw the elbows back by the hips, shoulder blades click together behind you. Pick up your toes so that you're anchored through your feet, not anchored through your toes, and softly lower the toes. Softly lower the hands, forward fold, perhaps a little deeper. Knees can stay bent. Inhale, extended mountain, come all the way up and over. And exhale, fold all the way back down. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, fold forward. We're gonna do a standing sun A today. Inhale, extended mountain all the way up. Fingertips meet at the top. Left hand takes hold of right. Hips stay over heels for this first round. As we exhale, take a little side body bend, stretching from the bottom of the wrist all the way to the pinky finger. Inhale, come to center, flip the grip, and exhale, a side body bend. The hips are staying over heels this first go round. We'll deepen the stretch the next go round. Inhale to center, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. And exhale, fold. Let's mix it up. Inhale, extended mountain, hands come up and over, left hand takes hold of right. This time that side body bend will be from heels to fingertips. So let the hips go way out and bump the side wall. Inhale to center, switch the breath, and exhale, side body bend in other directions. Spread out from heel to fingertips. Inhale to center, and exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back, and exhale, fold, adding on again. Inhale all the way up, extended mountain, cactus out the arms. Leave the shoulders over the hips for this first one, but draw the elbows back behind you. So no back bend here. We're just opening the chest, closing the shoulders. This is our standing baby cobra. Inhale, let the hands go up, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. This time we'll add a standing back bend. Inhale all the way up, exhale, cactus the arms. This time, add the standing back bend. Let the belly go forward, the shoulders, the elbows go back. We'll hold for a breath. Inhale up to center. Exhale right back into that standing back bend. Inhale up to center last time. Exhale into that standing back bend. Inhale up to center and exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, find a flat back. And exhale, fold forward. Plant the hands here, step the right or the left foot way back. Go ahead and drop the back knee for an anchored lunge. And I want to spend a minute working this lunge. So start if you'd like, front knee over front ankle. But what I would encourage you to do is if your back knee is straight underneath your hip, let's try today to add a little more flexibility in the hip flexors. Walk that front foot out about a half a footprint and see if you can find a lean in that back leg. Now that may not feel really stable. You may want to walk your feet further apart, left, right. But find a little lean in that back thigh. So we wake up the hip stretch, hip flexors, and stretch that quadricep just a little bit. Now surf it out. Rock the lunge back, leaving your forward foot on the mat. You can walk the hands back if you want to take hips a little closer to heel. And then walk it forward, drop into the hips as deeply as is comfortable. Let the front knee go across the toes if it's willing. As we open that hip flexor, stretch that back thigh. Then rock it back one more time, almost a half splits. Rock it forward, deep stretch one more time, and then come back to your anchored low lunge. Here we're going to tuck the toes, lift the back knee. Now, if I ask you to spread out too far, feel free to bring that back foot in a little bit. We find our stationary low lunge, and inhale, rise up, warrior two. Now, I may have gotten you spread a little wide, so feel free to pop it in if you need to shorten your lunge. But come into this first warrior two and take the time to set up this posture from the ground up. Even if that means dropping hands to hips, or you connect with your feet. Pick up your toes on the front foot, push down to the base of the big toe. Knife edge of the back foot, so the arch is lifted just a little bit. Perhaps you drop just a little deeper. Hands can spin up or come back up. Bring your attention up to your hips. Shoulders are over the hips. We're not leaning forward into the future or back into the past. Arms reach long both directions. As if the universe were playing a little tug of war with your arms reaching both directions. Then let's move to extended side angle. With the feet nice where they are. Inhale, hinge forward. Forward hand comes out beyond your mat. As we exhale, we take the tip. Now here I like to encourage you, you don't feel like you're tipping over backwards, let's work a little harder. Maybe you bring the top hand down to your waist and then roll that elbow behind you. That will show you what I mean when I say roll your right shoulder open. That's the sensation. As if that right elbow, we're gonna reach all the way back to kiss the back wall. That's the sensation in extended side angle. Again, leave the feet nice where they are. If you need to pump the front leg, feel free. Otherwise, stay committed to this lunge. Inhale, reverse warrior. Hands come up and over. Take the back hand, slide it down your leg, or what I would love to encourage you to start doing is take the back hand, sweep it wide behind you, and lay the back of your hand on your low back, on your sacrum, or even begin to reach for the front thigh. That'll roll the shoulders open automatically, and let you find that curve in the right or left side ribs and the opening in the right side ribs. One more breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, begin to unwind. Exhale, cartwheel the hands. You can frame the foot. Here's where the chair is coming in. I'm going to ask you to either step forward to forward fold, or perhaps to a standing halfway lift. Now, if you're comfortable reaching for the mat or for a block, do that. But if not, a lovely option is to use your chair. That'll let you work balance separately while you build the strength. Now we'll fold toes to toes, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, extended mountain all the way up. Exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. This time, step the right foot way back and then drop the knee for an anchored lunge. Same drill here. I'd like to encourage you to perhaps get a little more distance between your front heel and back knee than you're comfortable with. As we begin to stretch and open that thigh, we get into comfort zones, they quickly become ruts. Now there's one thing for it to be your limit, it's another for it to just be your habit. So find that lunge and then surf it out. Rocking it forward and dropping it forward, or rocking it back and really dropping it forward. Walking it back and dropping it forward. And then as you're ready, come back to a stationary anchor lunge. Tuck the toes on the back foot, lift the knee. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. Now again, take the time to set up from the foundation. If you need to adjust your feet, for most of us, front heel will bisect the back foot at either the heel or the arch. That gives us a nice stable foundation. Check in with the front knee. Can you still see your big toe? If not, perhaps your knee needs to press out toward the pinky side of your mat just a little bit. Are your shoulders in line with your hips, or have you taken a soft twist? Maybe you square it up just a little bit more. Glance back at your back hand. Is it somewhat level with the front hand, or has it drifted towards your thigh? Reach up through the crown of your head while you press down evenly through both feet. Inhale, hinge forward. Exhale, extended side angle. Try opening the shoulder, even if that means dropping the hand. We're going to stack the shoulders over the front thigh. Then when you're ready, top hand can either come up or eventually perhaps over as we get a long line of energy from pinky finger to pinky toe in our extended side angle. Leave the big legs where they are. Inhale, reverse warrior. Top hand comes up and over. Back hand reaches out and around for the half line. That automatically rolls the shoulders open. And we can expand through the rib cage. Recommit to the front lunge. And he likes to come up when the hand comes up. Reminded that's not its job. One more breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, cartwheel the hands. Exhale, forward fold or standing halfway lift. Now, when you get into that halfway lift, take the time to work the posture. What do you need to press down? What do you need to lift up? And then exhale, toes be toes. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, extended mountain. And exhale, fold right back down. I'm going to go through that a little faster, and I'm going to add on. Inhale, halfway lift, shoulder blades back. Exhale, fold. Left foot steps way back. Stay lifted this time in the lunge. Inhale, rise up. Warrior two. We'll just add on here in the middle just a little bit. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Flip the right foot around, all toes pointing to the long edge of the mat. Hands reach for the sky. Exhale, hinging at the hips. Wide-legged forward fold. Hands can come to hips. They can come to the floor, to your block. Shoulders are reaching forward away from the hips, keeping the length of the spine, but allowing the hinge at the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Come up and find a flat back. And exhale, fold just a little deeper. Hands can always walk between your legs behind you to help that stretch just a little bit. Inhale, lift all the way up. Find the 5-pointed star. Take the right foot back out and find your warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior up and over. Exhale, cartwheel the hands to the mat. Forward fold or standing halfway lift. Your choice. Exhale, toes to toes. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up, extended mountain. Exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold, plant the hands, right foot steps back. Knee stays lifted. Inhale, warrior two. Spin it around and rise up. Second warrior. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Left foot flips around, draw the heels in, toes are out. As we exhale, sit down and back, goddess. And keep the shoulders back over the hips. Knees are wide and reaching for the toes. Inhale, rise up, straighten the legs. And exhale, rock right back into the goddess. Inhale, rise up, straighten the legs. Exhale, back into the goddess. Inhale, back up. Flip the left toes toward the mat. Reestablish your warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Hand comes up and over. Exhale, cartwheel. Frame the foot for a forward fold or step forward for a standing halfway lift. And then exhale, toes to toes. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And And exhale, fold a little deeper. Inhale, extend that mountain. And exhale, fold right back down. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold, plant the hands, drop the hips. Come down to seated on your mat. So find your way to seated on your mat. Grab a sip of water, towel off. See if you're still speaking to me or not. And we'll set up for just a little bit of core. Yeah, we're gonna do some core work, and then we're gonna do a little more hip flexor work while we're in this position down on the mat. I'm tempted to turn the fan on, it's hot in here again today. But the fan is so noisy, I'm afraid you can't hear me, and I know I can't hear you. So I'll try my really lovely sweat soaker upper. Whew. All right, let's get ready to do a little core. I'm often asked what are the most important postures in yoga, and I will tell you that if you want to see change in your practice, the most important things you can do is build the strength in your core. Because part of building strength in your core is going to be releasing tightness in your hips and hamstrings. So if the core can take the load, the hips and hamstrings and the shoulders don't have to. And a lot of times our tightness is because we're compensating for core weakness by using hips, hamstrings, and shoulders. So we're gonna avoid that because we're gonna get into core. All right, if you would please, come to seated on your mat. Start with a little boat. So the first thing to do with boat is to anchor your boat. Find the sits bones, the bony bits, the bottom of the sacrum, the bottom of the pelvis, and get those anchored. Feet are out in front of you in some variety. They don't have to be flat to the mat, they can be way out in front of you. But it's very important that you're anchored to the floor in the boat. Then take the hands out around, bring the shoulders together, just like we do in a standing halfway lift. Then tap the hands in underneath the legs. So you really want to accentuate opening the shoulders, widening the shoulders, clicking them together behind you. That begins to turn on the belly. So sitting up really tall, lean back to the point that you start to feel the belly muscles engaged. That's boat, you're there. Now, if you're feeling the low back, it's because you don't have your boat anchored and you're dumping into your low back. So come out and reset. The feeling of boat, the stress, the work should be in the belly and perhaps in the thighs, depending on what you're doing in boat. Sometimes in the shoulders, but never in the low back. So lean back till you feel the belly engaged. You can begin to walk the toes in a little closer and lean back a little further. You can stay right here in the nice, stable, sturdy little rowboat. Lift one set of toes, then the other. Lift the toes to the ceiling, then the other. Just experiment rowing your boat. Perhaps you lift both sets of toes. Perhaps you let go of the hands. Today I'm going to choose to leave my hands under my knees and work on opening my shoulders and lifting my chest just a little bit more in this boat. You can always come out and reset or change your focus by changing what's happening with the legs, what's happening with the arms. And then bring your boat back to the shore, shake it out just a little bit. And take a knee with you, roll down flat on your back. Draw one knee into your chest and then the other. Give your low back a little massage. Let's do some butterfly crunches. So heels are near hips, knees are bent and lifted. Bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees drop wide for your butterfly wings. Then interlace the fingers, hands come behind the head, elbows go wide. This is a hammock, not a handmill for your head. The work is not in your shoulders and it's not in your neck, it's in your belly. For these butterfly crunches, it's a very small movement, and we lift the heart straight up toward the sky. like it were on a string. The head and neck, shoulders will follow. The work is on the exhale, so inhale to prepare, exhale to lift, and I like to pause and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Press the feet together, lift and lower, lift and lower. 5 and lower, 6 and lower, 7 and lower, 8 and lower, 9 and lower, 10 and lower. Good morning, stretch. Send the legs one direction and the fingers the other. Now, the tummy tries to cramp a little bit, and sometimes it will. Give a little pat. We sort of loosen up tight muscles, a little more blood flow going. We're going to do another set of these butterfly crunches. So this time I'm not going to count them. I'm going to let you take your own speed, perhaps a little slower, a little faster. I'll just keep time, a number of breaths. But what I'd like you to do is remember to lift on the exhale, lower on the inhale. And no momentum, each movement separate from the last. So inhale to prepare, and at your pace, lift and lower as we work these butterfly crunches. Knees stay soft and wide, elbows stay wide. Small movements, not very dramatic, but very impactful. We'll do another couple of breath cycles here. If you're going a little faster, you may not be breathing the inhale and the exhale with the left. Just find whatever's working in your body today. Let's do one more complete slow breath cycle. Finish the one you're on and take a good morning stretch. We'll do a little oblique work here, and then we'll get moving on. We'll work on those hip flexors just a little bit more. So still flat on your back. Heels in your hips, knees bent and raised. Hands down by your sides as if we were going to do bridge. We're not going to do bridge today, but it's that same basic body position. Tuck an imaginary orange between chin and chest that helps you protect your neck. If you crunch your neck chin to chest too much, put some strain on the back of the neck, so we don't want to do that. So your imaginary piece of grapefruit, then on an inhale, lift your head, shoulders, and heart away from the mat, hands float. And then the movement is right hand to right ankle, center, left, and center, right, center, left, and center, right, center, left, and center, 4, center, left, and center, 5, center, left, and center, 6, center, left, and center, 7, center, left, 8, center, left, center, 9, center, left, center, 10, center, last one, center, and a good morning stretch. I think that was about enough core for today. But I do want to work some hip flexors following down here. And this is a sneaky one. May feel like a big deal, may not. We'll see what happens. But come back into that bridge formation where heels are in their hips, knees are bent and lifted, and hands are relaxed down by your legs. Now, hands can go wherever feels good. If you want to turn up the intensity, take the hands out of the shoulders. But if you do, be sure that you're pressing the low back firmly into the mat. So what we're going to do with this little hip stretch here, this hip flexor work, is push down through your left foot, send your right toes to the sky. Now let the right toes come as far overhead as they're willing to go. And here's our action. Drop the right knee in line with the left, toes are pointed out to the sky. Next, we drop the right heel almost to the mat, and then we lift halfway, and then we come overhead. Halfway, almost to the mat. Halfway, touch the sky. Halfway, heel hovers above the mat. Halfway, touch the sky. Halfway, almost to the mat. Halfway, touch the sky. Halfway, heel to the mat. Halfway, touch the sky. Last one, halfway, almost to the mat. Halfway, all the way up, halfway, drop the right heel to the mat, windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Now, if you have strong open hip flexors, that's probably not a big deal. But if your hip flexors are a little tight or short, or not quite so strong, it can get to be a big deal pretty quick. So feel free to take a break if you need to. We're going to go the left side. So again, it's the leg up, halfway, heel doesn't touch the mat, we just hover. So let's get started. Pressing down through the right foot, anchor the right foot, left toes come up, and take them up as high as feels good. A little bit of stretch there, low back anchor to the mat, and then we're halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up, halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Two more. Halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Last one. Halfway down, all the way down. Halfway up, all the way up. Halfway down, drop the left heel to the mat, windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Give them a little stretch. Now we're gonna work that front quad a little bit. We're gonna work this month toward dancer. So I'm gonna be working with the quads and the hip openers this month. But before we do this standing, I want to invite you to do it lying down. So either lying flat down, flat on your back, or if it's more comfortable to roll over on your left side. But take your right hand to your right foot and bring your heel to your hip. I'm going to roll to my side. Now, if you need your strap, grab it. After you've got right hand around right foot, we did the same thing a little earlier when we were kneeling. Line up the thighs so that the knees are kissing. Then draw the heel into the hip just a little more. We've not got any weight on the leg. We can find a little more stretch there. Feel free to bend the elbow as much as you can, but keep the knees kissing. Right leg isn't resting on the left, it's floating a millimeter above. As we find as much length in that front in the quadricep as we can. So one more breath there. Relax, release that, stretch the right leg out and roll over on your right side. Let's give the left leg a little love. So again, you can start by really lifting or bending or reach, whatever you need to do to get a hold of that foot, including finding your strap. But eventually we want to get the knees down to where the thighs and the knees are one air molecule apart. And then we'll draw the heel in, using the strength of the arm, the length of the arm, as we draw the heel in and gently encourage that quadricep muscle to stretch just a little more. So let's take it just a tiny little stretch, just a little more. And then release and relax. Roll over on your back, draw your heels into your hips one more time, and give the legs a windshield wiper from right to left. Just really sort of rocking and rolling through the low back. Then we're going to come back up for one more standing sequence and get in a hip stretch here. So go ahead and take a knee with you, rock and roll, and come back up to a downward facing dog. I promised you 4, here's one more. We've only done 1 so far. So come back into downward facing dog number 2. Notice in this one, if anything feels different, now that your body is a little warmer. Get set in a nice stable dog. Drop your knees down toward the mat, push back through the shoulders, back through the hips lift high, The backs of the legs can straighten, heels drift toward the mat. Inhale and exhale here. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, gaze forward. Let's switch that up. Let's take a transition here. Work on that transition. Left foot anchors. Inhale, right heel lifts to the mat. Stretch long. Exhale, bend the knee in. Hinge forward as you bring right foot forward between your hands to find a low lunge. So find your low lunge. Inhale. Flip the heel to the mat. I'm going to turn the other direction. And let's rise up into a warrior two. Just want to get in a triangle here. So triangle is different from extended side angle. In extended side angle, go ahead and drop hands to hips. In extended side angle, your knee stays forward in the lunge, and we're bending the body from this position. Triangle is very different. Right hand comes to the hip crease. Gently inhale, lift the heart, begin to straighten the right knee as you push the hips back behind you and let the body just tip forward. Then we can send the right arm down and the left arm up. The top ribs are flat, parallel to the floor. Soft bend in the front leg. Don't lock it out in this triangle position as we reach for the sky. Now, it's not as important that you reach for the floor as it is that you find length in the side body in this triangle position. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, rise up, find your 5-pointed star. We're going to take a shortcut the other direction. Turn the left foot forward and drop into warrior two. Then we'll drop the hands to the hips one more time. Inhale to find length in the spine. Exhale, begin to straighten the front leg. Push the hips back as the shoulders tip forward toward the toes. And then as you're ready, one hand goes up, the other goes down. And we find level with the ribs one more time. So find that sense of level, whether it looks level, right, what feels like that you have that elongation. That's all that matters. Let's hold this triangle for just one breath. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Find your 5-pointed star. Reach down for the floor one more time and one last wide-legged forward fold. We're going to get into a big hip stretch here. So come back, an awkward transition, but I want to get you into pigeon. I shorted you on a transition, so let's do that real quick. And then I want to get you into half pigeon today. So go ahead and find your way to a downward facing dog. I need to balance out the hips just a little bit. So find your way back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot lifts behind you. Exhale, step through. Draw the knee to the nose, hinge forward. Left foot steps through and find the low lunge. That was the transition that I wanted us to work on. And now we're going to take that right back to a downward facing dog. So you can walk the foot out from the hands and slide it back and find your way to downward facing dog. I don't think we've done pigeon together. So I'm going to talk you through this one. Have a block of your blanket handy. Inhale, right foot lifts. Reach for the sky. Really send that heel up and back. And then exhale. Bend the right heel to the hip. Hinge the knee forward. Take the right knee to the right hand. Drop the back knee behind you. Now lift it. I'm going to move my hand out of the way. If your hips are open enough that you can rotate your shin parallel to the short edge of the mat, feel free to do that. If not, point your right toes back towards your left hip. Stay lifted for just a moment here. If your right hip is hovering off the floor, does not touch the floor, find something to put under it. A block or a blanket, so that you can slide the left leg a little longer come down to resting on the left leg and the right hip. But we want that right hip supported by either the block, the blanket, or the floor so that the muscle can relax. Now, at the moment, if you're lifted, your shoulder or your hands are still somewhere on the mat, find a little feeling of a back bend, not too much, so hands can walk out further in front of you or closer to your hip, but find a little feeling of a soft back bend as you widen through the heart and lift the shoulders. And then we'll begin to walk the hands forward and fold the body down over the right leg. Then make sure the right hip is supported. That hip cannot stretch if it's tight and tense, holding your weight. This is probably a pretty intense hip stretch for most of us. See if you can breathe with it, breathe through it, or if not, tuck something else under the hip. Either your block or your blanket, or your blanket a little fatter, turn your block up on the other edge, or move it deeper underneath your thigh, closer to your knee, so that you can find a place that lets you relax into that stretch. Hips stretch so stubbornly. So find that place. That if you walk the hands forward and allow the heart to lower, the head to lower, perhaps your forehead comes to the mat, to your fists, and to your block. But begin to soften the shoulders just a little bit. Let the shoulders be soft and easy. We're almost through, almost to Shavasana. Just one more hip stretch to go. Walk the hands back under the shoulders again, coming back up. Tuck the toes, walk the back leg in a little bit so that you can send the right leg back and find your last downward facing dog. Then you can lift the right leg, shake it out. Little three-legged dog, get some circulation going again. We'll do our last downward facing dog and our last half pigeon for today. Inhale, left heel lifts. Send it to the sky. Really pressing long both directions. Then exhale, fold heel to hip, hinge forward. Left knee comes towards the left wrist. Toes go back towards your hip, unless you're able to turn that shin parallel to the short edge of the mat. Then take your time, sliding the right leg a little longer, and find what feels good to prop the left hip. You may need more or less height under this side. Depends on what's happening in the hip or the knee. But find a place that lets you find a supported, relaxed stretch. All of those things happening at the same time. If it feels okay, walk the hands in a little closer to the knee, a little closer to the hip. Sit up tall. It should not crunch your low back. This is a little bit of a soft back bend, back strengthener. And then we'll fold forward and take it into a sleeping half pigeon. And again, allow your body to relax on this side. Allow this hip to release, to relax, and to begin to stretch. Ease in the shoulders. Softness in the legs. We have the breath still lightly under control, but only for another breath or two. And then we'll release the breath. One more in and out. Then bring the shoulders or the hands back under the shoulders. We'll take a shortcut here. Move your block or your blanket out of the way. Drop the left hip down to the mat. Swing the right leg around. Send the legs out long in front of you. Sit up tall. Last chance for core. Lengthen the spine, width in the shoulders. Hands can come out in front. Clasp the hands together. You can find Anjali Mudra. By lengthen the spine and then with control, roll back and make your way to the mat. Once you're there, release all control of the hands, the breath, everything. Anything your body would still like to have today, a supine twist, a legs up the wall. I love a happy baby. Whatever your body would like to have, take it. And then together, we'll link up in Shavasana. And once you find the Shavasana, whatever feels right to you today, flat on your back or constructed rest with the knees bent, heels wide, and the knees resting on each other, or perhaps on one side or the other. Wherever you find your Shavasana, let go. Let go of the breath. Let go of the work. Let go of the tension. Let go of the effort. Allow yourself these few precious moments to just relax and release. Scan for any tension and let it melt away. Now today I took us right up to 2:30. But you're at home, in your own place, in your own space. So if you have time and would like to, just stay in your Shavasana. Maybe another 3 or 4 minutes, perhaps count 10 breaths, slow breath cycles in and out. Feel free to stay in your Shavasana if you have time. But if you do need to get on with the day, find some movement, some stretches, some awareness, and make your way back to seated. I'll close out the practice and then I'll leave you alone. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat. The next class doesn't start for half an hour, so you have time. Just relax and release. I do want to thank you for being here today, for hanging out with me, for putting up with some down dogs today. We may have snuck in 5, I sort of lost count there, but we had several. They're a great strength and power builder. It's part of why the Shavasana feels so good when you take it. So I'm going to leave the 2 of you in your Shavasana. Thank you for hanging out. The light in me sees, honors, and reflects the light in you. May peace be yours today, tomorrow, and always. May joy gladden your heart and laughter fill your days. And may love lead your way on.